Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be doing a story time type of video for a story time type of channel. So today I'm going to be talking about the first time that I got drunk with strangers. So this was right around the time of my life where I had just moved in with a buddy of mine, and this was like maybe right before I moved in. So it was around the summer of my junior year. And I lived about an hour away from my buddy. So one day, I hit him up and I'm like, bro, we need to hang out. I'm like, me too. Sounds like a good idea. And then I told him, like, how we gonna get there? He was like, April. And I'm like, April. So I hit up my buddy April, and because she's the one with the car, neither of us had cars. So, but she lived near my buddy Josh. So I hit her up, and I was like, hey, can you come pick me up before you go to work on this day? She's like, sure. So a couple days pass, nothing really happens. But then she comes and gets me. And I tell my parents that I'm going to be gone for a couple of days. So I get in her car, I dab her up. I'm like, hey, what's up? And then we're just kind of chilling on the road. We're just driving. And we're listening to Post Malone. And we're just kind of chilling out to the music. Just kind of feeling it. And eventually we make it to my buddy's house. And I get out of the car. I say thanks for the ride. She's like, I might hit you up after work. She never ended up doing this. But so I walk up to the door, and I knock on it, and I kind of wait, and no one answers. So at this point, I just let myself in. So I just kind of walk in, and the family loved me, so I could do that kind of thing. So I walked in, and I go to my buddy's room. I go up the steps. Because the way that his house was laid out was that there was like 2 stories. No, actually 3. Because you had the top of the house, then you had the middle of the house, which there was basically a living room in the middle of the house where everybody could regroup at, and there was many different exits, and then they had like a basement if you went down far enough. So he lived at the top. So I went up the stairs. I go to his room, and he's just lumping. He's just on a log. And I try to poke him to get up. I'm like, buddy, I'm here. And no response. He's just a dead fish. And then at this point, I started getting mad. So I started slapping him. Nothing. And now I'm shaking him around. And now I'm slapping him some more. And finally he gets up, and with the grog, he goes, what's up? And then I finally get his ass up, and we plop down in a chair, and I'm like, bro, you need to smoke some weed. And he's like, hell yeah. So he pulls out his little bong that he got. It was pretty small, it was a real little thing. And he packs it full of green, and we're smoking it. And that's basically what we did for about 2 days. We just smoked some weed, listened to music, talked a little bit. It was a good time. But I was there for about 2 days at this point. Now on the 3rd day, he had to go to work. But I wanted to stay still, and we would just hang out after work. So at this point, we wake up, I dab him up before he goes to work, and it's just me at his house. And he had left me his computer password so I could play on his gaming PC that he had there. Well, I was watching YouTube videos on that, full 1080p. It was nice. No buffering or anything. But we're just kind of chilling. I am. And after a while, I start getting bored, and I kind of want to run around. Because I still knew people in town at this point. I still knew people I could talk to, so I start hitting people up. I hit up my one buddy, Daniel. I tell him, hey, what are you doing today? He's like, nothing. I was like, do you want to meet at the mall? He's like, sure. Alright. So, I end up going on this journey because I'm going to the mall and I want to meet up with Daniel. So, here's the thing though. I wasn't very familiar with the roads because you had to walk there. There was no driving. I had to walk on the side of the streets and try to remember the path that me and Josh always took when we would go to the city, well, not the city, but the town, maybe go to Kroger or something, or wherever we needed to go. So I start going down this path that looks pretty familiar, and I feel pretty confident, but right around halfway through, I start not recognizing where I'm at. So I'm trying to pull up Google Maps and trying to find the mall, because that's where I was going to. And I ended up taking this really backwards way of getting there. It's really backwards. And I went the long way around, that's for sure. It took forever to get there. And it was super hot outside. It was like hot and humid. The air was thick. And I'm walking and I'm just trudging through. And I have my backpack on me. I had a bottle of water. You know, I probably had like a snack or something. And I had a few dollars in my wallet. And I was like, I'm just going to survive on this for today. So I end up going to the mall and I'm chilling. And eventually John shows up. He hits up my phone again. I'm like, are you here? I'm like, yeah. So my buddy Daniel pulls up. And you know, he kind of meets me at a specific part in the mall. And at this point, we meet up, say what's up. You know, it's been a while, and we're just kind of walking around the store. And we're basically just talking and window shopping. And we're talking for a while. You know, I have one earbud in, he has another earbud in, and we're just kind of listening to music and talking. But at one point, we start getting bored. And I'm like, I'm kind of tired of walking around. So, I had been out long enough to the point where my buddy Josh was getting off of work. It was like 6 o'clock. And he was getting off of work and he hit me up. He's like, hey, I'm off work. So I text him like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm hanging out with some friends. I'm like, okay, do you want to meet up? He's like, yeah. So, me and my buddy Daniel are going to go meet up with my buddy Josh and his supposed friends. And so we're walking to the vape shop that was in the mall, because he was chilling there and had a nice couch you could chill out at. And so we meet up the vape shop, and my buddy Daniel, he kind of sees what's going on. He starts picking up a vibe, and he kind of starts backing out. He's like, hey, you know, it's starting to get late. I think I should go. I'm like, alright. So now at this point, I'm hanging out with Zach and his buddies. And it was really weird because it was like this 15-year-old girl hanging out with a 22-year-old dude. And they weren't related. And I didn't know how to feel about that. I felt kind of icky, but I just kind of was going with it because I didn't want to be the buzzkill. And I was desperate to hang out with anybody, honestly. So we kind of all huddle up and we walk out. And we're just kind of roaming the streets, walking the sidewalks, you know. But then one of them brings up, I think it was the older dude. He was like, do you guys want a drink? And me, being a 18, 19-year-old who can't legally buy alcohol, I'm like, yeah. So we're like, okay. And Zach was a little hesitant because he had work in the morning. But me, I didn't have no job. But I had a little bit of cash. So we end up walking, and it's getting pretty late out. You know, it's getting pretty dark. So we end up walking, and we end up right next to this church that was pretty deserted. So we go behind the church, and we kind of just plop down. Now, we weren't very secluded from anybody. We were in the middle of the neighborhood. Everybody could see us, but we just weren't, like in the front yard. We were like on the side of the house. So they pulled out this bottle, and it's pitch black, and it's just a bunch of goons on this church. You know what? We had no place fucking being there. None at all. But we were chilling, and we were passing around these bottles. There was like a bottle of vodka and a bottle of tequila. So they opened up the one bottle, and they unzipped it out of the backpack and got them out. You could hear them clanking in the backpack. And they start, taking sips and passing them around. And then it became a big old thing where everybody's trying to drink the most. It turned into like drinking game, kind of. It's more of like, oh, I bet I can drink more than you. And it kind of became a game. So then I started getting into it. And, one thing led to another. And I remember I wasn't feeling anything. I was just like, I don't know, I kind of had the weed mentality of like some weed you can smoke, you're not going to get high. But no matter what kind of alcohol you have, if you have enough of it, you're going to get somewhere. So, we're just kind of chilling, and then I remember it was like I was sober and then just straight fucked up in a snap. And I was like, damn. And I remember I was just so floored that I was just swaying while I was sitting, crisscross applesauce, just swaying to myself, and everybody's kind of looking at me funny. And I remember I went like full frontal on the grass that we were laying on, and I was just staring up at the sky. And I remember that I felt so light yet so heavy at the exact same time, and I had never felt this again with alcohol. And I know for sure it was alcohol. But I always felt so heavy and so light. And apparently, from what my buddy Josh said, that I just kept saying the same thing over and over again. And then I remember the world started getting real dizzy real quick. And then I sit down again, and I just start projectile vomiting. And it's spewing, and like I'm going the distance. And I'm just sitting there all gross and cockeyed in the middle of nowhere with these people I don't know, and they were pretty sketchy. Probably shouldn't have been there, but I was. So then I remember it became a big problem because we were like, how are we going to get home? Because I can't walk home. I'm floored. I am absolutely floored. I can't walk home. Because home is like 2 miles away, and my ass ain't getting there. I'm going to be sleeping on this turf in front of this church right now. Because it's not happening. So everybody else starts making calls. Everybody kind of got grossed out that I threw up. But then somebody's cousin came through, I think. So because I remember being told like a baby or like a puppy in a box, being like, hey, we got a ride. Oh my gosh. So I remember stumbling my way to this random vehicle, stumbling in, throwing myself in, just like flopping myself in like a pancake being slapped on a stomach. I'm just flapping. And then we drive for a while, and I remember blacking out. And then I remember coming back, and I was still in the car. And then I was like, okay. And then I remember we finally got home. And me and Josh end up going to his house because they dropped us off. And we go inside, we try to be real quiet, real stealthy. He was drunk, but he wasn't as drunk as me. So we're just kind of going up to his room, and I just flop onto this futon mattress that he threw on the floor, and I just flopped. And that was basically the end of the night. Thank y'all for listening and watching. Like and subscribe if you want more. There will probably be more anyway. But thank y'all. Good night.